Hey there, fight fans. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this episode of Combat Sports Talk. Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. My name is Ryan Smith, and I am your host tonight for UFC 263, Adesanya versus Vettori 2. We are coming into the main event. The world has been shaken. The god of war has been defeated. Brandon Moreno is the new flyweight champion of the world. I'm excited. On the show this week, I picked Brandon Moreno, and, I believed in him. I believed that he would be able to do this. I know that Deiveson Figueiredo is a beast. He is a scary knockout artist with crazy jiu-jitsu. There's so much that he can do but sometimes you see the heart that a person has, and you see that this is their time. And just walking in tonight and seeing Brandon Moreno in the first round be able to stagger Deiveson Figueiredo in the second round, be able to just take this guy down at will and eventually rear naked choke submit him for the win. I am so excited. So thank you for joining me tonight. This is UFC 263. My name is Ryan Smith, and this is our podcast, Combat Sports Talk. I am one of four hosts, but tonight it's just me. I'm giving you play-by-play of the main event. We are minutes away. Israel Adesanya is on the screen. He's just popping out that little jab that he's known for and just going through those motions, a teep kick, a side kick, roundhouse. That's what he does. We're just watching him in the back, ready to go to war against the Italian. Marvin Vettori. This is a rematch. Marvin Vettori gave Israel Adesanya the best fight that he's had so far. So, it's one of those things where, does lightning strike twice? Is he going to get that shot again? Or are we going to see Marvin Vettori face the same fate as every opponent has before him? So that's what we're waiting for. We're just getting through the kind of the preliminary videos and hype videos that they have for this fight. So we're just getting ready to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and talk through some of the results for those of you who are not able to watch the pay-per-view. We can go through some of the results right now as we get ready for this fight. So the first fight of the night, let's go ahead and check that out here. The first fight of the night was Paul Craig, who defeated Jamal Hill via its TKO. But the fact is that Paul Craig basically took an arm home with him, severely dislocating. We found out during the broadcast that his arm wasn't broken, but Jamal Hill's arm was severely dislocated. And as Paul Craig is throwing these elbows from guard, he's on the bottom, he's in his full guard, throwing these elbows, Jamal Hill's arm is just flapping like a windsock at an airport. So Paul Craig won that in the very first round. The next fight of the night was a person I call the most dangerous man at welterweight. It's a kind of an inside joke on the show. If you follow our show, you'll get that joke. But if not, Damian Maia, who is always dangerous with his Brazilian jiu-jitsu on the ground. Unfortunately, in 21 attempts, he was only able to get the fight to the ground one time, wasn't able to do what he needed to do. And Bilal Muhammad, remember the name, walked away with the victory there. In the next fight of the night, we had a 5-rounder. What they're saying is the very first 5-rounder of the UFC in UFC history where it didn't feature a main event or a title shot. And this was Leon Edwards really trying to show that he is worthy of another shot at Kamaru Usman, facing off against Nate Diaz, who is a fan favorite. And let me just say, I didn't expect a lot from Nate Diaz here. I thought that Leon Edwards was going to come in there and just do his job and just finish Nate Diaz, or at least bloody him up, which he did, bruise him up, which he did, have him limping, which he did, but Nate Diaz wasn't done. In the 5th round, Nate Diaz was able to land a Stockton slap and then followed up with a straight left caught Leon Edwards right in the face, wobbled him, and Leon Edwards had to fight for his life to survive for the last minute of the fight. This thing was amazing because if Nate Diaz could have put in just 2-3 more combos together, he would have won this fight, sending Leon Edwards from the number 3 spot, perhaps plummeting down and even possibly destroying his chance at a title shot. But Leon Edwards was able to survive, was able to get away, and therefore he won 49-46 by decision, and he now has a claim for a shot at the welterweight title. My hope, personally, is that they will give him the title shot over Colby Covington, even though Colby Covington gave him the best fight, gave Kamaru Usman the best fight that he's had so far. He did get finished, and Colby Covington has only fought Tyron Woodley since then, and Tyron Woodley is no longer in the UFC. I think a secondary fight that I would take, if I can't get Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman, I would get Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards in a number 1 title eliminator. That'd be a great fight. I'd take that as well. In the end, we just covered this, but Brandon Moreno and new. This thing's so new, they don't even have a picture of him with his belt yet. So Brandon Moreno is the new flyweight champion of the world, defeating Davidson Figueiredo in round 3 via rear naked choke. And now we are here at the main event of the evening. We've got the last style builder, Israel Adesanya versus the Italian Dream, Marvin Vettori. So this is what we're facing. This is what we're looking at, and I am excited about watching this fight, and that's what I'm going to do for you. What I'm doing for you tonight is I am giving you the play-by-play. Some of you are on the road, you're traveling. Some of you may not be able to afford the pay-per-view tonight. I'm not showing the stream. So for those of you who are working for the UFC, I'm not showing it. But what I am doing is giving the play-by-play. I'm going to tell you what's going on, when it's going on, what's happening, who's winning, and we are going to make sure you are clear about what's happening in the octagon tonight. So that's what I'm providing for you. Hopefully you will enjoy this. And if you do, please hit us on any one of these social media and media streaming platforms. Like us, subscribe, give us some love, because we need your support. So please do that. Please follow our show. Give us some support if you like what we're doing for you tonight. We will try to do this for you every single month for every pay-per-view, give you the play-by-play of what's going on in the action. So we're still waiting for the fighters to come out. We're learning a little bit more about Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. But for those of you out there who are watching, go ahead, chat to me. Give me a little bit of a message about who you think's going to win tonight. I'll tell you right now, my pick is on Israel Adesanya, the last style bender. Right now, I think he is as hot as he can be. He has not really been tested except for Jan Blachowicz, who was a bigger fighter. And so this is something that I talked about during the last Israel Adesanya fight, is the fact that when you move up, you are fighting fighters who are moving down, who are cutting weight to that weight class. When you are moving up to that weight class, the body size, the skeletal framework of these fighters are bigger, are heavier, and I felt like Israel Adesanya was going to struggle with that, which he did. And his wrestling wasn't where it needed to be given the size and strength of Jan Blachowicz. So this is going to be the test, and this is why it's so interesting to be able to watch Marvin Vettori, because he is going to wrestle. He is going to try to take Israel Adesanya down. That's what he did in the last fight, and he's only gotten better. I mean, we look at that Kevin Holland fight, and Kevin Holland, who's a hometown hero for us here in Dallas, Texas, he is the same body style, the same type of striker as Israel Adesanya, and guess what? Guess what? Kevin Holland got taken down over and over and over and over again. This is one of those things where he couldn't get up either, but it was a late fight replacement, so, that we'll give that to Kevin Holland, that maybe he couldn't get up because he didn't get a chance to practice and train for that. Israel Adesanya, we're going to see what he can do. So here we go. DJD, who's next? Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. It's the main event, and that's why we're here. Going to give you the play-by-play of what's going on here. We got Patrick here, Patrick Alunde. If Marvin can take him down, it'll be like Silva Sonnen 1, which was one of the greatest fights in the history of the UFC because you had a wrestler who was able to take down Anderson Silva. Sorry about that. To be able to take down Anderson Silva and hold him down and ground and pound. He didn't do a whole lot of damage to Anderson Silva, but he controlled Silva on the ground for 4.5 rounds with that triangle. So we're going to see if this fight can go to the ground. I think Marvin Vettori, it's his fight to win. If this fight stays standing, look out. Somebody might go to sleep tonight. All right, so DJD, yes, I am watching this, and I am giving you the play-by-play. So just turn up your volume. You'll hear my voice. I will tell you what's going on, the action to the best of my ability as it's happening. Walking out right now in the green, white, and green is Marvin Vettori. There's a lot of boos happening. I don't know how you can boo a guy. He's just trying to win the belt, man. This is, he's trying to win the belt. Izzy will win by peppering. I think Izzy will win. I think Izzy. He's so fast. He's so elusive. I think that he's gonna have to get his wrestling defense on point tonight, though, because Marvin Vettori is gonna be relentless. All right, when is it starting? It's starting in about 5 or 10 minutes. So right now, Marvin Vettori is walking out. Of course, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up for the buffer effect. We're gonna see if we can time to see how long this fight has to go, because rule number one it's not rule number one, but one of the things we talk about here on the show is a fight has to last at least as long as it takes to announce it. That's what we call the buffer factor. We'll be timing that in just a few minutes. You feel like Izzy is prepared for wrestling? I think he is better prepared than he was with Jan Blachowicz, because Jan was a kickboxer, and that's where he's kind of made his living. So to take Izzy down was something that might have been unexpected. Tonight, it is not unexpected. So we're going to see what's going to happen. So we'll see if he's practiced and ready to wrestle. But he's going to have to be, or else he's going to lose that belt. And no one wants to see Izzy lose 2 in a row. So, all right. So Marvin Vettori's getting fixed up. We're looking at some of the stats. The second longest active win streak. He's also set the middleweight single record for takedowns in a single fight with 11. That was against Kevin Holland. And the highest takedown accuracy among active UFC middleweights at 53.7%. So this guy, that's his game. He tries to get this fight on the ground. I mean, he is built like a wrestler anyway. He's just got a lot of bulk, a lot of muscle, and he's quick. So we'll see what happens. Izzy is lithe and thin and sleek and ready to strike. So we're going to see, what happens when an immovable force and an unstoppable object, they collide. What is going to happen? That's what we're going to find out tonight. So walking around the ring, stomping around the ring right now is Marvin Vettori. Of course, we had some bad blood at some of the press conferences. So these guys don't like each other. And that also adds a little bit of fun for us because, typically when we, the laymen, get into a fight, it's a fight because we're upset. This is a sport. So these people aren't necessarily upset with each other. They're not feeling a lot of anger against each other. But tonight, there is some anger. There's something to prove. There's a chip on the shoulders of these guys. And so that makes it even more interesting because it's part sport, but it's part that primal, energy that we typically want to see whenever we watch a fight. What do I think about Marvin's striking game? It's not bad. It's really not bad. I mean, you've seen the highlights, right? Like, he is able to stand and bang. He has 2 of the 3 things you have to need to be a complete fighter, right? He's got the wrestling. We know he's got that, and that's the best base for MMA. The question is, after the striking, which I believe he has, he's got good striking, not nearly to the level of Israel Adesanya, but the submissions, does he have the jiu-jitsu? Probably not going to be a factor tonight. So I can't call Marvin Vettori a complete fighter, but I do think that he's got the striking. I do think he's got the wrestling, but it needs to be in the order of wrestling and then striking. Of course, Israel Adesanya is going to have some theatrics as he's coming to the ring. So Israel Adesanya right now, he's got the pointy, Asian hat, the pointy Chinese hat. He's got the kind of the mask. It's I don't know what you would call it. If it's I don't want to misspeak on the ethnicity of it. If it's Japanese or Chinese, but it looks to me like kind of that Japanese mask that they wear with the teeth baring. You see a lot of the tattoos, a lot of the tattoos with it. So he's got the pointy hat with the mask of like the Japanese warrior face. It is a very anime theme. He is coming out in his anime gear. Of course, we know that Israel Adesanya is a anime maniac. He loves it. He makes lots of references to Naruto. He makes tons of references to lots and lots of anime that I don't happen to watch particularly. I do like anime, but just not necessarily the same ones that Israel Adesanya likes. But he's come out in kind of his anime. Hopefully in the post-fight press conference, he'll explain who he was tonight and how he came out. And so, one of his fellow city kickboxing fighters fought tonight. Was Brad Riddell. And so they had a city kickboxing fighter murdered in New Zealand. And so they were walking out to, at least Riddell walked out to the murdered fighter's walkout music in honor of him. I can't tell because I'm doing the show, so I can't tell if he's doing the same. But yeah, that's something that weighs heavily on their hearts. So the city kickboxing guys are out trying to win these fights for their lost friend. So we may hear Israel Adesanya reference that tonight if he's able to win this fight. So Israel Adesanya is getting the last swig of water, and he's getting ready to go and step into the ring, being checked out by the ref outside the ring, checking the fingernails, making sure he's got a mouthpiece. He does. Checking the cup. It's set. Israel Adesanya is walking into the ring as we speak. So we are ready. The fighters are in the ring. Israel's making his circle, and we are ready to get for our we're ready for the Buffer effect. We're going to time how long it takes Bruce Buffer to announce the fight, because this fight could go quick, and if it does, that fails the Buffer factor. It needs to go about 3 minutes. That's how long it takes Bruce Buffer to do this announcement. So here we go. They're setting it up right now. All right, we're just looking at the tail of the tape. Of course, Israel Adesanya is 4 inches taller, but has 6 inches of reach. Israel Adesanya has the reach advantage on his field in the middleweight division that John Jones has in the light heavyweight division. So 80 to 74 inches. Here we go. So what we're doing right now is we are timing Bruce Buffer's announcement. And so this timing of the announcement is what sets the Buffer factor. And so this fight has to last at least this long. All right. So I'm excited. This is the best part for me, like getting all the anticipation of the fight. Of course, the fight's awesome, but the anticipation, like what do you think is going to happen? So if you're watching this, type in the box, who do you think is going to win tonight? I got Adesanya. Looks like other people has Adesanya. Looks like DJD is saying if they don't go to the ground, Vettori doesn't stand a chance. I think that's a fair assessment. Vettori has decent striking, but I don't think that he's going to be able to do too much damage to Israel Adesanya. But at the same time, anything can happen, right? So Israel Adesanya shaking his head no, looking at Marvin Vettori. So here we go. We're getting ready to get our it's time. There it is. Right on schedule. It's time. All right. 5 rounds for the undisputed UFC middleweight championship of the world. All right. So here we go. Marvin Vettori is the underdog at a plus 220. That means if you bet $100 on Marvin Vettori and he wins, you're going to get $220 coming back. 17-4-1. He is I'm excited to see him fight. All right, so we're just waiting. Stand by. All right, Marvin Vettori has just been announced. We're 2 minutes into into Bruce Buffer doing his job here. All right. Israel Adesanya's popping and locking, doing a little bit of his, he's a great dancer as well. I think being a good fighter and a great dancer tends to go hand in hand. He's a minus 275 favorite. That means you've got to bet $275 if you want to make $100 on an Israel Adesanya bet. All right. 2 minute, 40 seconds. All right, here we go. Whoops. There we go. 2 minutes, 55 seconds, y'all. That's how long the fight has to last. If it does not last this long, somebody failed the buffer factor. Here we go. All right. Last instructions by the judge. Let's see. They do not touch gloves. They do not touch gloves. So this is it. Israel Adesanya is down. Marvin Vettori is up. They're facing each other off the side of the ring. He's squatting down like Spider-Man. Israel Adesanya is. Marvin Vettori is up. And here we go. Round number 1 has started. They're circling at the center of the ring. Both of them are on the Monster M. Touching, just looking. Israel Adesanya is feinting with the front kick. Marvin Vettori is just finding his range. Leg kick by Israel Adesanya. Couple of jabs for Vettori, but they don't quite make it. Another front kick by Israel Adesanya. Leg kick by Israel Adesanya. And Vettori is circling around, following Israel Adesanya as he moves. Another leg kick by Israel Adesanya. Looks like he's going to try to work the legs. Working the legs, of course, slows down the wrestler, right? So almost throws another leg kick, but he decides not to. Marvin Vettori is really trying to get in close. Israel's back is against the wall. Couple of jabs, don't quite touch for Marvin Vettori. So Marvin Vettori is looking for his first strike landed. Israel Adesanya looking very, very comfortable. Marvin Vettori closes distance, but Israel moves out of the way. Israel's looking to circle. Nothing quite touches him yet. Israel Adesanya, another leg kick landed by Israel Adesanya. Now Vettori lands with a leg kick. Another leg kick by Vettori. So we're going to test the legs here. We're going to see what's going on here. All right, another jab tries by Vettori, but it doesn't quite land. Israel returns with a body kick. All right, here we go. They're back in the ring. Ooh, catches Israel Adesanya's leg, and the fight is on the ground. Now it's in Marvin Vettori's territory. Marvin Vettori is on top, landing some ground and pound, really trying to do something. Israel's got him held close. Marvin Vettori is trying to land some punches. Israel Adesanya's got him in guard. Israel's shrimping back to the cage. Marvin Vettori is on top, trying to stop Israel from getting up. But Marvin Vettori is on top right now. Israel Adesanya is shrimping, trying to get up. Marvin Vettori is not throwing any punches right now. He's just kind of laying and praying right now. Hasn't thrown really anything. So here we go. Marvin Vettori is now posturing up, tries to throw something, doesn't quite land anything. Israel Adesanya gets back up to his feet. Israel is back up to his feet now. And there we go. We got a body lock by Marvin Vettori, but now we see what's happened with Israel Adesanya. So he can be taken down. The question is, can they keep him down? All right, here we go. Marvin Vettori tries to drag him back down. Marvin Vettori changes levels and tries to get a leg. Looking for a single right now, but Israel Adesanya is stopping him from doing that. Israel Adesanya gets him with an elbow to the ear. Marvin Vettori stands up, and Israel circles out. We reset back to the center of the ring. Okay, here we go. We got another jab right now for Izzy, but it doesn't land. And so now we're looking again, a lot of feinting going on right now. Izzy may think twice about throwing kicks because Marvin was able to catch a kick and take this fight to the ground. So we're going to see another leg kick landed by Israel Adesanya, starting to see a little redness on the right leg of Marvin Vettori. Weird exchange there. Both of them decided to bail on their strikes. Vettori starts to throw some punches, but nothing lands. Maybe a slight glancing punch, but Israel was out of the way. He seems okay. Quick jab for both of them. Neither one of them touch. And here we go again. Israel's really reaching out now. Another leg kick by Israel on Marvin Vettori. And so here we go. Just looking. They're just feeling each other out. There's a minute and 45 seconds left in this first round. And so here we go. Marvin Vettori rushes in again, throws another jab, and Israel Adesanya pops him one time up the center, and now Marvin Vettori returns with a quick jab. Marvin Vettori is throwing all kinds of punches, landing just very barely. Israel Adesanya's head movement is too good. Israel Adesanya throws something out and then circles out. They're back to the center of the ring again. We got a minute and 30 seconds, minute 20 seconds left. I'm sorry. Marvin Vettori throws a nice cross over the top and lands, but Israel Adesanya is just too quick. He lands another 1-2 and then a leg kick. Israel Adesanya is showing his hips, threatening to kick, but he hasn't done anything yet. Marvin Vettori's trying to get inside. Rushing forward is Israel Adesanya, but he stops just short of throwing something. Israel Adesanya goes for a head kick there, blocked by Vettori. Standing in the center of the ring, body shot by Marvin Vettori. Israel Adesanya slides back to this cage. Another leg kick by Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya is now standing very tall, just waiting. Oh, uppercut. Big uppercut, and almost makes the head kick on Vettori. Israel Adesanya is just a great striker. All right, there's a high leg kick by Vettori. Vettori throws a big looping punch. Israel moves out of the way, and Marvin goes flying by. They reset. They're at the middle of the ring at the big old M. Both of them are feinting. Both of them are looking. 20 seconds left. Leg kick is checked. Big overhand left. I'm sorry for Marvin Vettori. Doesn't land though. All right, they're both feinting. You're seeing a little bit of hips for Israel Adesanya. Nothing. Israel throws a leg kick, but Vettori moves out of the way. 2 seconds left. 1 second left, and then a punch to end the round. That is the end of the round, and there you have it, folks. Looks like you've got. This one's really hard because the beginning of the fight is hard. So you've got a lot of leg kicks landed by Israel Adesanya. You've got the takedown, but Marvin Vettori didn't really do anything with it. If I was scoring it, I would score it 10-9 for Israel Adesanya by virtue of the strikes that he landed and the leg kicks, because there was nothing that was successfully done except for the takedown by Marvin Vettori. So he scored the takedown. We saw what could happen, but really and truthfully, it's one of those things where, we'll have to see how the fight plays out. Does anybody have it any different? For those of you who are watching, do you have it for Vettori? I don't, but we're going to see what happens. You never want to leave it in the hands of the judges, but right now we haven't seen really enough damage to be able to say that this fight is clearly for one fighter or the other. Now, we are getting ready for round number 2. Ready for round number 2. Here we go. All right, here we go. We're back in the center of the octagon, standing on the monster M, feeling each other out again, finding the range. Israel Adesanya, nice leg kick on Marvin Vettori. Israel Adesanya comes in, throws another punch, but it doesn't quite land. Checks the leg kick by Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori rushes in, another leg kick by Israel Adesanya. Working that right leg. Marvin Vettori is throwing punches, but they're just not landing. That's the problem. Head kick by Israel Adesanya, barely blocked by Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori starts to throw. Throwing shots. Israel Adesanya is responding. Israel has that reach, but he's back. He's running out of space. Marvin Vettori lands a couple of punches on Israel Adesanya, but Izzy is fine. Izzy throws a big looping right hand, but doesn't land. Marvin Vettori returns and doesn't land. Oh, big shot rushing in by Marvin Vettori. Israel responds, but can't really see who landed and who didn't, unfortunately, from this angle. So here we go. We are standing back. We're just feeling each other out. There's another inside leg kick this time. Don't really think that landed too hard, though, by Israel Adesanya. Oh, Marvin Vettori lands a quick jab on Israel Adesanya. He steps in a little bit too far, and Marvin Vettori makes him pay. Israel Adesanya is back on the cage, fighting off the cage now. I don't think he needs to be on the cage, to be honest. Leg kick landed by Marvin Vettori, by Israel Adesanya on Marvin Vettori. They're back inching towards the center of the ring, but owning the center of the ring right now is Marvin Vettori. Israel Adesanya lands another leg kick on Marvin Vettori. Here we go again. Marvin looks for the shoot. He shoots, changes levels. He's got a full body lock, he's got a double leg, body locked right on Israel Adesanya. Israel is fighting, got his legs spread against the cage. Marvin Vettori is looking to see what he can do. Elbows now raining down on that ear by Israel Adesanya as he's trying to defend the takedown. Marvin Vettori I think he's got his hands locked behind Israel Adesanya, trying to drag Israel to the ground. Couldn't quite get him. Now he's back up top with the body lock. Israel Adesanya is able to break free. There you go. Okay, Marvin Vettori comes back with the striking. Israel Adesanya is moving in. Okay, quick jab lands by Marvin Vettori on Israel Adesanya. 1, 2, 3 lands by throws by Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori's throwing a double jab cross is what he's throwing. When I say 1, 2, 3, it's really a 1, 1, 2. But it's not landing. He is just right outside of reach. So here we go, another leg kick by Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya comes in with a quick head kick, but it doesn't land. And so here we are again. Marvin Vettori's owning the center of the ring, but Israel Adesanya is outside, landing the leg kicks, landing the head kicks, or not landing the head kicks, the leg kicks that he needs to keep scoring to try to keep this fight on the feet. Sorry about that. All right, Marvin Vettori rushes in, but nope, Israel Adesanya circles away. So Marvin Vettori is bull rushing, trying to get Israel on the cage, and unfortunately, Israel Adesanya moves too deftly, moves out of the way. Double jab again, but can't quite land by Marvin Vettori. Big right hand right down the pipe for Israel Adesanya. Israel throws another leg kick, tries to come in with an uppercut. Marvin Vettori returns with a right jab. Marvin Vettori throws another one. Israel Adesanya tries to throw a head kick, but that doesn't land. So we're throwing a lot of stuff, but not a lot is landing too cleanly to do any real damage. Nice jab lands for Vettori on Israel Adesanya. Israel rolls away. So Israel's trying to find the range. They're grabbing hands. They're touching, trying to find that range. Got to watch those fingers. You don't want to get them in the eyes. Israel, big, heavy leg kick for Israel Adesanya on Marvin Vettori. Those are going to pay dividends in round 3 and round 4 and round 5. Marvin Vettori throws a body kick to Israel Adesanya, just touches him, doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Israel Adesanya steps in a little bit too close to land that leg kick. Got a couple of jabs landed by Marvin Vettori. We've got 1 minute and 15 seconds left in this round. Izzy is on the cage, moving his head. Marvin Vettori changes levels, goes for another body lock. He's got his hands locked behind Israel Adesanya. Israel's dropping those elbows again, trying to drop those elbows. Marvin Vettori lets it go. So that seems to be effective defense for Israel Adesanya. Israel's able to get this fight up. He's got an overhook, and he's fighting with the hands on the other side. Now Marvin Vettori is really trying to see what he can do about getting Israel Adesanya to the ground, but now his hands are broken. He's just got an underhook, and that's all he's really got, trying to control Israel Adesanya on the cage. Marvin Vettori's putting his head down in the jaw, really trying to straighten Israel Adesanya up so he can get that takedown, but unfortunately he cannot. Israel continues to roll out, and he breaks it. We reset at the center of the ring. 30 seconds left in the second round. So here we go again now. Israel Adesanya goes for that head kick again. Doesn't quite make it. Just out of reach. So we see what he's trying to do. He's trying to get that head kick right over the guard of Marvin Vettori. We'll see if he gets that later on. Teep kick right to the gut. I don't know how hard it was, but it does land. All right, Marvin Vettori comes in throwing these punches, but he's just out of reach. Israel's reach is just too long. He's too fast. Nothing is really landing. Not a great round. 4, 2, 1. And that's the end of the second round. I think that this one is more decided for Israel Adesanya. I've got this 2-0 for Israel Adesanya. Marvin Vettori is doing what he needs to do. He's looking for that takedown. He's looking for those strikes that set up the takedown. But he's not able to get Israel Adesanya down, at least not here in the second round. So right now, who do I think is winning? I think Israel Adesanya is winning 2-0. It could be 1-1 depending on some judges' scorecards because Marvin Vettori did score a takedown in the first round. There wasn't a whole lot of action, so some judges could have given Vettori the first round, but I have it 2-0 Israel Adesanya. The second round very much more convincing for Israel Adesanya. Marvin Vettori is looking a little bit more winded than Israel Adesanya. The conversation over on City Kickboxing side is very much very casual. Israel Adesanya is leaning up against the cage as his coach talks to him. Marvin Vettori has his arms over the cage looking a little bit winded. So we'll see if the gas tank for Vettori, with all that size and weight that he has, whether or not that's going to be a liability in later rounds. Here we go. Third round is beginning. Here we go. They're standing at the center of the ring. Teep kick for Israel Adesanya. That lands, but not too hard. Marvin Vettori rushes in, changes levels. He's got Israel Adesanya posting up. Israel Adesanya is down. The takedown is secured, and Marvin Vettori is on top. Marvin Vettori is stretching Israel Adesanya out, but he's starting to throw the baby punches. We need to get a name for those punches where they land, where they're they're not doing a whole lot of damage, but they're landing. So Marvin Vettori is on top now. He's got shoulder pressure down. Israel Adesanya is trying to break his posture, keeping him from posturing up and doing too much damage. but Marvin Vettori does have Israel Adesanya on the ground. 4 minutes and 15 seconds. This is where this fight needs to be if Vettori wants to win this fight. Vettori is looking to pass guard right now. He is in half guard, looking to get into side control. That's where he wants to be. Israel Adesanya has his leg wrapped up, but Israel needs to get up. Marvin Vettori is doing a good job of moving Israel closer to the center of the ring and not to the cage, to the side of the cage where he could potentially post up and get out. Marvin Vettori is holding his hand across the windpipe of Israel Adesanya, and Israel sweeping. Oh, but it looks like he's giving up his back. Israel's giving up his back. Oh, and it looks like it. Oh, it looks like he's got Israel. Okay, it looks like the shoulder. Oh, Israel turns it. He turns over, and now Israel's on top. Marvin Vettori went for the rear naked choke, couldn't quite get under the chin, and that allowed Israel Adesanya to spin around, and now Israel Adesanya is on top of Marvin Vettori. This is not a place where we've seen Israel Adesanya before, and so therefore he may just decide to stand this fight up. Israel Adesanya has now stepped outside of the guard, holding on to, and now he dives in, moves the feet out of the way, dives in, but it looks like Marvin Vettori might go for a heel hook or something, and it looks like Marvin Vettori is going for a heel hook here. Israel Adesanya is scrambling out of the way, trying to get up, and he is up. It's reset. Looks like we're stopping the fight here for a moment, trying to see what's going on. Maybe there was an eye poke as Israel Adesanya was getting up, but the fight has been paused for a moment. So we think that there may have been an eye poke. We think there may have been an eye poke. So as they're scrambling to the feet, Israel Adesanya's finger goes into the eye of Marvin Vettori, and so we have stopped the fight. But it looks like Marvin is okay. We're restarting the fight, and here we go. A lot of action on this one. So very cool. Very cool. All right. This is the best we've seen Vettori this fight. So leg kick lands by Israel Adesanya. Marvin Vettori comes in. Quick uppercut this time by Israel Adesanya lands on Marvin Vettori. Big leg kick almost sweeps Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori looks like he may be a little gassed. He spent a lot of energy to get that takedown for it not to really amount to anything. So let's see what happens. Can he recover? All right, here we go again. Israel Adesanya throws another big leg kick. Throws a teep, doesn't land, but throws the leg kick. Marvin Vettori throws the jab, 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 and then comes over with the overhand right. That does not land. So here we go. We're back now. Israel Adesanya throws the head kick. It lands, but doesn't land cleanly. Marvin Vettori lands a big shot on Israel Adesanya right there. Israel has to reset his gloves and take a look again. Now Israel's got his hands down, got his back against the cage. This is not a good look for Israel Adesanya. That's how Anderson Silva bid it against Chris Weidman. Don't put your back against the cage. Don't just sit there and put your hands down. Fight this fight. Israel Adesanya lands another leg kick, looking for that uppercut, looking for that big uppercut. He wants to land that on so bad. Tries to throw that uppercut again, doesn't land. So another big leg kick. Vettori is trying to catch the leg kick as it comes in. He's really trying. Quick jab lands on Israel Adesanya by Marvin Vettori. All right, here we go. Here we go. Israel's backing him up. Now Israel comes with a question mark kick, doesn't land. Israel comes in looking for that uppercut again. All right, here we go, but it doesn't land. Here we go. Marvin Vettori throws jabs. He's throwing hooks. None of it's landing, though. He's just not, he can't reach far enough. Another leg kick by Israel Adesanya. The leg is starting to look like ground beef here. All right, here we go. Israel Adesanya, another jab by, big head kick, misses. Marvin Vettori ducks out of the way of the head kick. So we see what Israel Adesanya is trying to do. Head kicks and uppercuts. That's what he's trying to get. He thinks he can land the head kick. Marvin Vettori lands a body kick. Israel catches it. Israel Adesanya, another leg kick, sweeps Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori goes down. Israel steps in, tries to throw something, but Marvin Vettori is able to get up, shakes it off, says, no, you're not going to get me like that. Uppercut. Israel tries again. Marvin Vettori tries to respond again, but nothing really lands cleanly. All right, here we go. Here we go. At the 30-second mark here, standing in the middle of the ring, looking. Israel Adesanya's got his hands up, kind of ready to parry. Going for those leg kicks, looking for those leg kicks. That one misses, though. All right, so he's circling away from the power of Vettori. Vettori's throwing the jab, jab, cross. Does not land. None of it lands. Tries to throw the jab again. It does not land. All right, Vettori's looking. His mouth is, Israel Adesanya throws a teep kick to the groin. So we are paused now. So we've got a groin strike. We are paused. Take a breath, everybody. We may be here chilling for about 5 minutes. So Marvin Vettori, strike to the groin. He is Israel Adesanya is standing in a neutral corner as Marvin Vettori tries to shake out the cobwebs, get the old coconuts to fall. And so they're getting a replay right now, and it's just a straight kick to the groin. Unintentional, of course. However, it did land right on the cup, and so Marvin Vettori is walking off. Marvin Vettori looks like he says he's okay. All right, we are back on. Here we go. And that's the end of the round. Okay. Okay, so this is the end of the third round. If you're going to score a fight for Marvin Vettori, if you're going to score a round for Marvin Vettori, this is probably the one. Because he did get the fight to the ground very early. He didn't do a whole lot of damage outside of the punches that you throw when you're on the ground. He didn't gain posture. He didn't do anything that was too devastating to Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya, on the other hand, did land some big kicks to Marvin Vettori. He landed some kicks that I can't say drop, but like swept Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori was able to get back up, but the leg kicks were able to. You also had the near rear naked choke, but Israel Adesanya was able to reverse that and turn it around. So this is a very close round, depending on who you have it. If you're asking me, I still think it's Israel Adesanya's round. I think it's 3-0, but it could easily be 2-1. It could be easily 2-1 in favor of Israel Adesanya. You could give round 3 to Marvin Vettori, and I wouldn't be mad at you. All right, here we go. This is round number 4. And so here we go. These are the championship rounds. Marvin Vettori comes out throwing punches. Israel Adesanya with a teep, barely touches. Leg kick. That one kind of buckles the leg a little bit. Now we're going back and forth. Leg kick again by Israel Adesanya. We are standing kind of toe to toe. They are getting the energy now. They're going for it. Here we go. We're standing toe to toe here. Israel Adesanya tries to throw something, doesn't quite land. Marvin Vettori tries to throw something. Israel's trying to counter punch, but nothing's really landing right now. Body shot lands for Vettori. Not too hard, but he does land it. Head kick, but it gets blocked. Israel Adesanya throws the head kick. It gets blocked by Vettori. But Israel Adesanya with another leg kick, and then he tries to come up with that uppercut again, but it doesn't land. He's really trying to get that, but it's not landing. It hasn't really landed just yet. He may have landed one. Here we go. Now we go. Throw in another leg kick, but that one doesn't really land cleanly. All right, we're standing toe-to-toe. Oh, Marvin Vettori changes levels, gets his hands clasped. He's got both hands tied behind for a takedown, but he's not able to do anything with it. It really looks like he's tired. You see him breathing. He's not really moving from this position. So Vettori is just his hands are no longer clasped. He tries to pick Israel Adesanya up, tries to sweep him, isn't able to get him. He gets Israel Adesanya to the ground, is able to take Israel Adesanya down again. Now we've got Israel Adesanya reverses it, though, pushes off the cage, reverses it, stands up. It's got a leg, a Marvin Vettori leg, but he lets Marvin Vettori up. So Marvin Vettori has him on the ground for just a second. Israel's able to reverse it and stand back up. This fight is standing again. So we're seeing a much better ground game for Israel Adesanya for sure. So here we go. Jab, jab, both just out of reach. Big jab lands for Marvin Vettori this time, and he's able to get Israel Adesanya grappling against the cage again. We've got an underhook for Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori has Israel Adesanya backed up against the cage, but he lets Israel Adesanya go. They circle out. It was on Israel's side of the cage, so he had tons of coaching over there. Israel Adesanya throws a little teep kick right in the center, goes with a question mark kick, pops, and then comes back with a leg kick. Israel Adesanya is putting on a striking show here, but Marvin Vettori is undeterred. He's just too strong here, so he can take these punches. All right, here we go again. All right, Marvin Vettori throws another jab just out of reach. Maybe he lands it with a glancing blow, but not really doing a whole lot of damage here. Israel Adesanya throws a quick jab. Nice leg kick by Marvin Vettori on Israel Adesanya. All right, Israel's fighting range. Quick jab by Marvin Vettori. They're standing in the center of the ring on the Monster M. All right, here we go. Here we go. We got 2 minutes, 12 seconds left in this round. All right, here we go. All right, now we got a little bit of counter punching by Marvin Vettori. Israel throws a 1-2. Marvin Vettori lands with a quick jab. Marvin Vettori lands a leg kick on Israel Adesanya. Maybe it was checked. Israel Adesanya is looking inside leg kick now for Israel Adesanya on Marvin Vettori. He's working the inside of the leg. Quick jab by Israel Adesanya, but not a lot of damage done there. Marvin Vettori is still looking. Oh, teep kick now into the body by Israel Adesanya. All right, here we go. Marvin Vettori's inching closer, trying to get inside. Leg kick, inside leg kick by Marvin Vettori on Israel Adesanya. He throws a couple of jabs, really trying to get in there. Oh, 1, 2, 3, a jab cross, and then a leg kick by Israel Adesanya. All of them land, and Israel Adesanya is in the flow state now. He is moving around the ring. Quick jab, 1, 2 by Marvin Vettori, and then hits a nice little cross on Israel Adesanya. Israel looks at him and then circles out. Leg kick by Israel Adesanya again. All right, here we go. Adesanya's looking. Vettori's trying to find a way in, and the bodies clash, but no punches land. So Israel circles out. He's now standing. Head kick almost lands on Vettori, but Vettori is able to get out of the way just in time. So now standing in the center of the ring. Oh, Vettori changes levels, looking for the takedown again. All right. I can't tell if he's got his hands clasped or not. Looks like it's a single leg this time, but he lets it go. Israel Adesanya is really looking to get that elbow going again on the side of Vettori's head. But Vettori has Israel Adesanya against the cage. No legs grabbed right now. He's just basically holding Israel Adesanya by leaning in with his shoulder. Israel Adesanya is hand fighting right now with Marvin Vettori. We've got 20 seconds left. No damage really being done here. But it looks like Vettori is trying to get the single leg. We've got 10 seconds left. I think we're going to go to the 5th and final round. Israel Adesanya is grabbing Marvin Vettori's butt to make light of the situation that they're in, and it's the end of the 4th round. So here we go. This is the 5th round. So this round number 4, I would give to Israel Adesanya. So you could potentially have 4-0 on the scorecards or 3-1 for Vettori. Marvin Vettori has 1. Israel has 3. So I could see it either way right now. I don't think that very many cards would have it 2-2. If some people may have given Marvin Vettori the 1st round. Clearly he won the 3rd round potentially. So you could have 3-1 or 4-0. I don't think you'd have a 2-2. Okay, so here we go. This is the 5th and final round. If it's going to happen, it has to happen here. I think that they tell Marvin Vettori that he's got to get a finish if he's going to win this fight. If he's going to emerge as champion, he needs a finish. All right, here we go. Brandon Moreno got his finish. Let's see if he can do if Vettori can be the new middleweight champion. All right, they're sitting in the center of the ring. Head kick by Israel Adesanya blocked by Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori's circling, trying to come in. Another leg kick by Israel Adesanya. Vettori tries to change levels. Gets Israel Adesanya against the cage. This plays in Israel Adesanya's favor. Marvin Vettori tries to pick Izzy up, but he can't. His base is too big. It's holding up, and now they're standing up. They're grappling to the cage, and now Vettori he's got a body lock on Israel Adesanya, underhooks in, but there's nothing that is happening right now. So this plays in Israel's favor if this fight stays on the cage because he's winning this fight, and there's not a lot of damage being done here. So Marvin Vettori is just holding him against the cage. Mark Goddard is telling him, "You got to work, or I'm gonna break you up." But I don't think Israel Adesanya really needs to go anywhere. Marvin Vettori tries to change level again real quick. Israel Adesanya has got himself braced to keep the takedown from happening. He's pushing down on the top of Marvin Vettori, and it's just nothing's going on. Now Israel Adesanya goes for a kidney shot, and now Israel Adesanya throws an uppercut as Marvin Vettori breaks off. So we're 3 minutes 36 seconds left in the fight. Marvin Vettori is standing in the center of the ring. Head kick again, but this one is very close to landing. I think it lands, but it's a glancing blow. Vettori's able to get his hand up just in time. Vettori throws some punches, but none of them really lands. Leg kick by Marvin Vettori. High leg kick on the thigh. And so now they're looking. Marvin Vettori throws a jab, and comes in with a cross, but only one of the jabs lands, but that's about it. Not a lot of damage done. Standing at the center of the ring again, Israel Adesanya is looking for a big kick. He's trying to take Vettori out. Jab for Vettori, but both of them just out of reach. Jab again for Vettori, just out of reach again. A big cross comes in, big head kick comes in from Adesanya. Neither one of those land. So we're looking eye to eye. We're looking eye to eye. Israel Adesanya circles around, and now they're feinting. Is quick jab by Marvin Vettori. Oh, I didn't look like it landed, but Israel Adesanya pretended like it landed, hoping to see Vettori come in, but it didn't work. Another head kick, but Vettori is able to block it. 2 minutes, 28 seconds left. And here we go. Now we're going to see what's happening. Uppercut. The uppercut lands, but not too hard, and then we get an outside leg kick by Israel Adesanya. All right. Jab, jab. Both of these guys are missing a lot of punches right now, to be honest with you. And so here we go again. You've got Vettori following Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya circling. He'll stop. He'll get ready to throw something and then bail and move out of the way. Superman punch by Israel Adesanya, but it does not land. 1 minute and 56 seconds left in the fight. Here we go. They're both standing. Israel Adesanya comes in with a punch, but bails at the last minute. Doesn't land. Resets. Here we go again. Little teep kick. Doesn't land. Marvin Vettori changes levels again. Is trying. I can't tell if he's got his hands locked. Looks like he does. Trying to get Israel Adesanya to the ground. Israel Adesanya is posting up, but is not able to get to the ground. Marvin Vettori is riding him to the ground, but is not able to get him quite to the ground yet. Israel Adesanya is back to the feet. Marvin Vettori is trying his hardest, but he can't get Israel Adesanya to the ground. Can't get him to the ground. All right. So now we're grappling against the cage, but really not any motion, not a whole lot of movement, just kind of jockeying for position here. Looks like Vettori may be a bit gassed here. He's just holding on to Israel Adesanya against the cage. We have 1 minute left remaining in this fight. Marvin Vettori cannot get Israel Adesanya to the ground, it looks like, and if he does, he can't hold him there. Israel Adesanya is just kind of punching him to the head, and now Mark Goddard breaks up the fight. Israel Adesanya takes the center of the ring, and here we go. 44 seconds left. Something's got to happen for Vettori if he's going to be the champ. Leg kick by Israel Adesanya. He throws a couple of punches. Nothing really lands. Israel Adesanya throws again. This one lands, but just a glancing blow. Not a lot of damage done. Throws a head kick that gets blocked by Vettori. 20 seconds left. Vettori is following Israel Adesanya around. Izzy circles away, sets up, is looking for another strike. Teep kick, leg kick by Israel Adesanya. Both of those land. Not a lot of damage. 10 seconds left. Israel throws a nice little right hook. That lands. Not a lot of damage. Last 6 seconds left. Goes for the shot, but Marvin Vettori is not able to get him to the ground. And that is the end of the fight. Looks like Israel Adesanya is going to walk away and still middleweight champion of the world. So it'll be interesting what the judges say. I think it should be 5-0, maybe 4-1, but that's about it. This was a pretty dominant fight by by Israel Adesanya against Marvin Vettori. So that's what we do here. That on pay-per-view nights, I give you the play-by-play of what's going on. I'll tell you who the winner is, what the cards say, and you know we'll wrap up this wonderful night of fights. So just to kind of talk about this fight real quick, though, you know, we knew that if this fight went to the ground, that was the best place for Vettori to win this fight. If it stayed standing, which it did for most of the fight, this was Israel Adesanya's world. That's what happened. The fight stayed up. Did Izzy win? Oh, Thomas Hahn, can you speak now? You got to have something to say. Did Izzy win? It looks like Izzy won. The official decision has not been made yet. Based on my cards, I have Israel Adesanya winning. So we'll see real quick here. We're looking at the highlights now. We're looking at the City Kickboxing Corner. They're just having conversation. Israel is looking very confident that he won. Marvin Vettori is looking a little bit tired. All right, here we go. We're getting ready to get the decision. Getting ready to get the decision here. Here we go. Okay. All right, here we go. 5 rounds. Judges scorecard. 50-45. So 5-0 in favor of Israel Adesanya. And still, there you have it, folks. Israel Adesanya was able to retain his title as the middleweight champion of the world. So now we've got Marvin Vettori and Israel Adesanya talking in the center of the ring. Looks like they're just being, giving that cordial sportsmanship that they normally do. Now we've got Israel Adesanya talking to Joe Rogan. Oh, yeah. So okay, so apparently, talking in the center of the ring right now, Marvin Vettori was telling Israel Adesanya that he thought he won the fight, and Israel Adesanya is saying, "You need to show some respect." Like, what is up? Like, just say good fight and let's go our separate ways. Why do we have to do that? Hey, CJ, if you enjoyed my commentary, please do give us a like and a subscribe. Look over here, on like us somewhere, support our show. We definitely need more people listening to what we're doing, what we're trying to do. Combat Sports Talk, please do. Did Nate fight? Yes, Nate did fight. He was dominated for 4 rounds, but if you're a Nate fan, in the 5th round of that fight, Nate landed a huge left hand that almost ended the fight. Almost. Leon Edwards almost went to sleep. So go back and watch the highlights there. It was great. It was great. All right. Milo, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe us. Support our show, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, here we go. So now Joe Rogan's asking for the call out. All right. Now, you've got Israel Adesanya has just called out Robert Whittaker for the next championship fight at middleweight. So we already knew that this was going to happen, but now Israel Adesanya made it official. Here we go. What's my Instagram? My Instagram is Combat Sports Talk. So just search for Combat Sports Talk, and please support us there. Who's winning? Israel Adesanya. He won. He won tonight. It was pretty dominant fashion. The judges on all the scorecards gave him all 5 rounds, 50-45. All right. Let's go ahead and just recap all of the action, and then we'll go home. All right. So let's start off with the first fight of the night. That was Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Paul Craig came in, pulled guard, and then quickly dislocated Jamal Hill's arm for the victory. But he goes down as a TKO because the ref didn't see Jamal's arm just kind of flopping around like it was. But unfortunately, Jamal Hill was unable to do very much and lost his undefeated record tonight. All right, next fight of the night was Damian Maia versus Bilal. Remember the name, Muhammad. Damian Maia did his very best to try to get this fight to the ground, but unfortunately, Muhammad's takedown defense was just too good, having stopped 20 out of 21 takedowns, and unfortunately, Damian Maia was not able to do very much else. Bilal Muhammad wins via unanimous decision. In the next fight of the night, you've got Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. As I said before, Leon Edwards was dominant for 4 rounds. Looked like he was coasting his way to the 5th round, and then guess what happened? Boom. Nate Diaz lands a big left hand, rocks Leon Edwards. He's on spaghetti legs. Nate Diaz was chasing him all around the ring, and guess what happened? He ran out of time. Sometimes you lose and sometimes you just run out of time. Nate Diaz just ran out of time tonight, and unfortunately, he was not able to win against Leon Edwards. Leon is looking for that title shot in the rematch against Kamaru Usman. In the co-main event of the evening, we had Davison, the God of War, Figueroa versus the assassin baby, Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno walked into that ring tonight and took that belt via rear naked choke. Looked great in all 3 rounds of this fight, and he is the new flyweight champion of the world. And we just saw this result. but Israel Adesanya retains his title, winning 5 rounds to 0 against the Italian Dream, Marvin Vettori. Valiant effort from Marvin Vettori. Tried to get the fight to the ground, couldn't hold the fight on the ground, and unfortunately, if you can't hold Israel Adesanya to the ground, he's going to pick you apart with the strikes. And so there we have it, folks. That is our that's our show. To Mason, yes, I do a podcast. If you look over here at the list, so Apple Podcast, or we're on Spotify, we're everywhere you want to search. You look for Combat Sports Talk, you will find us. And so therefore, give us a like and a subscribe for us. All right, here we go. Knowledge Mac. I think middleweight is too weak of a division for Adesanya, and the best in light heavyweight is just above his capability. I think that that's fair. I'm not going to go so far as to say that middleweight is too weak, but we need to see more contenders coming up from middleweight, because right now, you know, you've got Robert Whittaker, but after that, we need to see some people really kind of rise and show us that they're going to be able to challenge Israel Adesanya. Right now, you've kind of got a little bit of Valentina effect here, where Valentina Shevchenko is like here and everyone else is right here. You know, Israel Adesanya is starting to pull away from that middleweight pack. So I think you're fair, but I don't want to call it too weak. I just don't know that we've got another contender that's risen up. And I do think that light heavyweight right now at the weight that he's walking around is too much for Israel Adesanya. I feel like we need a Jan Izzy rematch. Izzy's got to put on some weight. I mean, walking in at 194, I think was what he walked in at or weighed in at for a 205 when you've got Jan Blachowicz cutting down from maybe a 230. Like, Izzy has to make that physical transformation that John Jones is trying to do to fight at heavyweight. I think that that's what George St. Pierre tried to do to fight at middleweight. He couldn't sustain it, but you've got to transform your body for that heavier weight. And if you don't do that, I think we'll see a very similar result as we did last time. All right. Well, hey, guys, I really appreciate you coming out, meeting with me, in letting me do my thing, tell you the play-by-play, and let you know what's going on. I do this every single pay-per-view. I let you know what's going on in the fight. So if you're unable to watch it, if you just want to know what's going on, then come join me and support our show. We are Combat Sports Talk. We do a new podcast every single week, and you get to meet the rest of our Combat Sports Talk crew. So what I'd love to say to you guys is always remember to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. I'll catch you next time.